ESPN, the Total Sports Network, presents the 1989 Nabisco Masters. Today's semi-final match is brought to you by Moet Champagne, France's best-loved champagne. By Nike, who remind you to just do it. And by Minolta and the Maxim 3000i. Maxim does what no snapshot camera can. Ivan Lendl, clearly, with the exception of the 3 Grand Slam championships that he did not win, the dominant player in the world today. He takes on the serve and volleyer from Sweden, the number 3 player in the world, Stefan Edberg. This is the Nabisco Masters for 1989. It will be the last Nabisco Masters held in this great arena, Madison Square Garden in New York City. And a very good day to you, everyone. I'm Cliff Drysdale. Boris Becker over John McEnroe in an outstanding match, 6-4, 6-4, but it was a lot closer than the score would indicate. The 2 groups, and they started out, 8 players started out in this championship, 2 groups of 4 players each. They each play everybody else in their group. Ivan Lendl won his group, as you can see. John McEnroe was second in that group. And in the Ilya Nastasi group, it was Boris Becker who ended up winning over Stefan Edberg, who is number 2, then Brad Gilbert and Andre Agassi. They both went home without getting to the semi-final. But Roscoe Tanner, let's take a quick look back on that Becker-McEnroe match. I mean, it really was closer than the score indicates.
Well, John McEnroe had more break points than Becker did. But Becker moved his serve, his second serve. He moved it around more. That was really the only difference, was that John McEnroe's second serve was attackable. Boris Becker's second serve really wasn't. And so he was not going to lose. Lost his serve one time, I think his first time in the whole tournament. But that was the difference between the 2 players. And then also Becker came up with some humongous aces at different times.
Becker is the man who will play the final. Who's he going to play in the final? The winner of the match that you're just about to see between Lendl and Edberg. How do you see this one in terms of just mechanics, Roscoe?
Well, both players like to control the point, just like both players in the last match did. But both players have a tremendous amount of power. I think Lendl has probably a little bit more power. He has the ability to raise his game at just the right moment. When it gets to be a big point, he doesn't miss his first serve. And both players like to control it. It depends on which player is able to control the point, get the big first serve in at the right time, which guy's going to attack the other guy's second serve. You know, Lendl has shown that he can do that regularly. Edberg does it on occasion. We'll see what happens today. Well,
Ivan Lendl has won every major championship in the world, including Grand Slams, except Wimbledon, which is one that he would love to. And with some more thoughts on Ivan Lendl and what a dominating year he has had, let's go down to Mary Carrillo at courtside. Mary?
Well, Cliff, as you know, Ivan Lendl was my pick to win the Masters. I might briskly add that Boris Becker would have been 1A along those lines. But I'm going to stick with Lendl. I think he's playing really, really good ball, and he's shown it this week. On his first serve, and he's serving at about 60% on the week, he's lost 8 points. He's also breaking his opponent's serve almost 50% of the time. Now, Stefan Edberg is a number 3 player in the world, and he's played quite well this week. And yet, the way Ivan Lendl is playing, I would consider it one of the major upsets of the season if the 3rd player in the world, Edberg, were to beat Ivan today, Cliffy.
Well, we will find out very soon. The number 1 player, as you said, will take on number 3, Stefan Edberg, in the second of 2 semi-final matches today from Madison Square Garden. The man with the big serve, there is a difference between these 2. Let's face it, Roscoe, this man, when he serves, he doesn't need to come into the net because his serve is so good. Well, he doesn't want to come into the net. That's the truth. Whereas Stefan Edberg, you'll see him serve and volley, because that's going to be really the way that he can win this match, if he can, against Ivan Lendl. See some of the statistics on a man who was born in Czechoslovakia and Ostrava. He now is very much at home in Greenwich, Connecticut.
But both players want to set up the point with their serve. Edberg certainly has a very strong serve. Lendl, I think, uses his serve sometimes more to win the point outright, or at least to get a lame duck sort of a return coming back and just drill it. Edberg links his serve more closely with his volley.
He beat Chang in the first round, as you can see, and then Krickstein. In the third round, he beat John McEnroe. And it has not been, again, as you can tell, that tough a week for Ivan Lendl yet. There is his overall carpet record. The man that he's playing against from Sweden, Stefan Edberg. You will see on his statistics that he's from London, England. Of course, he is a Swede, but Tony Pickard, his coach, is in England, so he spent a lot of time there. And in the same way that Becker, of course, lives in Monte Carlo, this man, Stefan Edberg, spends a lot of his time, as I said, in London.
This is his 5th time here, so he's no stranger to the Masters.
Now, I suppose in his book, he would say this has been a disappointing year for him. But if you said to any player below the 3rd player in the world, as you see who he's beaten here in this championship so far, how would you like to have it said that you got to the final of the French, you got to the final of Wimbledon in 1 year? They'd say, give it to me in a minute.
A heartbeat. Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's had a tremendous year, and he's number 3 in the world. But he's playing against number 1. And the big thing is, if Lendl, or when on the big points, when Lendl is getting his first serve in, is Edberg going to be able to hit an effective return so that Lendl's not just swatting balls away easily? If he is, it's going to be a tight match. If he can't, it's not going to be, because Lendl is going to keep pressure on Edberg's serve.
We'll see. To me, that's the key. Is just if you can hold on to serve against a Lendl or a Becker, of course you've got a shot at it. If you cannot, the problem is breaking their serve. So I think you put your money, you put it right on, because that is what this whole thing boils down to, and we're going to get a chance to see how successful Edberg is now. Best of 3 sets, tomorrow's final, live here on ESPN, 12:30 Eastern Time, best of 5 sets.
In talking with John McEnroe about Lendl, he said Lendl is hitting the ball harder than he's ever seen the ball hit. He said even on his backhand side, which just then you saw Lendl hit a big return, which Edberg was unable to handle with a volley. He's stepping into everything. He's not holding back. And Mac felt, geez, at least if he's hitting the ball that hard, he should miss a little bit more. But he's not missing either.
Love 30. Now Edberg is not making this excuse, but Tony Pickard earlier today told me that he's feeling really poorly. He's had a cold or the flu, whatever. He's been to see a doctor, and the doctor said, look, I can give you something, make you feel better, but you're not going to play very well because it's also going to make you drowsy.
He's been feeling that all week.
He has been suffering that all week, and it's shown. Lendl has still 2 break points in this first game of the match. $60,000 at stake here. That's in addition to the $30,000 they win for each round robin match. Tomorrow's best of 5 set final will be for 120. Solid. Back to deuce, 3 in a row.
This first game is a big game at any rate, in any match, but in this one, Edberg gets himself down left 40. Here he hits a good serve. You can see him at full stretch. He's so tall and long that he can cover these balls, but he got down love 40. It'd be a tremendous confidence builder for him if he can get himself out of that hole and win this game. He's back to deuce right now. He played the first few points, touch tentative, and even though he was serving, he wasn't really being positive in his shots. So to get this game after that sort of a start would really help him.
points and then 5 in a row for Stefan Edberg. He has a 1-game-to-love lead.
Due to time constraints, we're going to have to move ahead in this match. We'll rejoin it with Lendl trailing in the first set 4-5 and serving.
Here's another look at the best shot of the match. Start out by just seeing how much he bends his back on the serve here, Stefan Edberg. He gets a good serve in here into the backhand side of Lendl. Look how far Lendl is wide, so he's not able to get a very good return of serve. And he's really, at this point, at Edberg's mercy. Now Edberg comes in. See where Lendl is still. It's not a bad return after all, but he gets down to the ball well. He gets it very wide, virtually out of reach of Lendl. Or is it? You see how Edberg, in the meantime, has made his move to cover down the line in case he goes there. But at this point, it's decision time. Does he keep going or does he stay? Well, he stays, and look what happens. And there was simply no way. And Edberg couldn't go much further to cover that, because then he would have been vulnerable to the cross-court passing shot. Lendl serving 4-5 first set.
Remember, coming into this match, Lendl on his first serve had lost just 8 points. Well, already in this match, he's lost 8 points on his first serve to Edberg, who's really seeing it so well, reacting so quickly, and striking the ball offensively, which is not easy to do against this man's serve. Look at that. Jumped on it.
He really is playing well, isn't he? I mean,
yeah.
He's
playing much better than
last
you
night.
would imagine. Oh, than last night. But then you would imagine he could against a man, Lendl, who's playing well himself.
He's really returning Ivan's first serve very well. And he's being effective. He's not hitting winners, but he's keeping Ivan from being able to direct the play totally. For example.
5 aces.
But when he gets his racket on the ball, unless it's clean ace, but when he gets his racket on the ball, he's being effective. He's not just getting it back. He's doing something that Lendl then has to answer with sort of a moderate shot, as opposed to just driving it all over the place.
15-30. Second serve.
No flash photographers, please.
2 points from the set is one way to look at it if you're in Edberg's shoes. Oh, what a wild swing at an important time.
Ladies and gentlemen, people continue to take flash photography during play due to subject being scored for this season.
That announcement relating to flash cameras, he said if you continue to take flash photography, we're going to escort you out of the stadium. It's pretty drastic. I think
That happened here last year.
It should.
Ivan, remember? Lendl demanded that happened, and it did. He made enough of a fuss that a man was taken away.
It also happened here last night, not because of flash photography, but somebody was physically escorted, carried, in fact, out of the stadium.
Don't see that at Wimbledon. Right off the line. That ball skidded right off the line. That's bad luck for Stefan.
It's interesting that they get those kind of bounces, Mary, because this is a synthetic court. You'd think they'd be able to make a synthetic line that would avoid that. Game point. We are at 5 games all in the first set. Remember, Edberg has beaten Lendl on an indoor surface very similar to this in Tokyo earlier this year.
That much maligned forehand of Stefan Edberg's, it's better than it looks. It doesn't look nearly as good as his backhand, but that easy forehand he had,
at 15-30.
that one he chummed. I mean, that thing, that's going to haunt him. It's got to, if he doesn't win this first set.
We're seeing a lot more zip on his serve. Either that or it's just Lendl that's not being quite as aggressive on the return as Becker was last night. But there's a big difference. Much more effective today, Edberg.
Ivan has been a little bit impatient with his returns off of Stefan's.
Samantha Lendl. They got married a couple of weeks after the U.S. Open, Samantha and Ivan, and they're expecting their first girl in the spring.
Ivan has been, though, he's been overly aggressive on the returns and mishitting a lot of balls and things. In these last couple of points, he's been more careful with the return in terms of chipping it and aiming it to be a little bit more accurate instead of just going for winners like he did last night against McEnroe. For example, there he takes a full swing and mishits. Stefan has a good enough serve that maybe he needs to shorten up his swing and block it a little bit so that he makes his returns. Gets him in play and makes Stefan hit a low volley instead of with McEnroe. He could blow it by McEnroe before he got it, but Stefan's hitting the ball a little bit harder, a little bit deeper in the court. That type of return he just hit there, I'm sure, is one he would enjoy every point.
Ladies and gentlemen, once more, no flash photography during play. Thank you.
Flashes don't really help from the distance that you are away from the court, either in a building this size.
Don't they have, I don't know much about photography. They have cameras now that, I mean, some of them you have to have a flash on, don't they? I mean, the automatic sort of flash.
Yeah, they're automatic, I guess, so they make it flash, but a flash doesn't really have much effect when you're sitting up in one of these upper balconies.
Edberg has held on, so it's 6 games to 5. First set.
Lendl here waiting to receive serve, and as the ball comes to him, it catches him off guard and he mishits it, and he's just totally frustrated. He doesn't know what to do on the serve. And Edberg has too good a serve for him to be able to direct every shot, and all this week he's been in control of every point and every hit.
I think things would be different, Roscoe, if he just stepped back a couple more feet.
Gave himself a little more time.
Give him more time. If he wants to swing away,
yeah,
at least, you know, get back a little further. Give yourself a fraction of a moment more.
Yeah, and maybe, you know, he can't do against Edberg what he's been doing against all these other guys. And Edberg serves a little better. So he's going to have to change his thinking. But all week he's been blowing guys down, and he thinks he should be able to do that on every point.
First.
And that's good because Stefan Edberg has been getting back into play off of serve. 88% he's been getting back. That's just remarkably high.
He's been doing reasonably well with on that 88%. I mean, they're not just floaters coming back there. He's keeping himself in the points well. Stefan has got Ivan thinking that he's not playing that well because he's not able to control the point. So Ivan thinks something's wrong with his game. Nothing's wrong with his game. He's just playing a pretty good player.
There's that forehand that flies the ball a little bit if he catches it just wrong. He can hit great shots with it, but it's got to be absolutely perfect to go right. He's made 2 loose errors last couple of games. This can hurt him going into the tiebreaker if Lendl goes ahead and holds serve.
Tiebreak time. Best of 7 with a 2-point lead will win the first set. Best of 3 sets here. Final tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern time. Will be best of 5.
Will Lendl give ground on return of serve? Will he step back in that? It'll be interesting to see.
Quiet, please.
Well, that's kind of a depressing statistic for Stefan Edberg. Hasn't won a tiebreaker in years against this guy. Look at it, all over that one.
It doesn't look promising after the first point. He hit a big first serve and just got to take 2 steps and watch it go by.
Tried a kicker. And Lendl just spanked it home. He wasn't rushed at all.
It's the susceptible forehand. It's vulnerable because if he doesn't catch it exactly right, then it can be a very bad miss. I mean, he can hit some great shots with it and make some winners, but it's got to be perfect.
He's got to be real confident.
Tiebreaker time is when you're at your least confident, a little bit nervous, or a lot nervous.
First double of the whole set for Ivan Lendl.
It's Edberg right back in it. One thing Edberg does have is a tremendous temperament on the court. At least most of the time, his ability, if something goes wrong, he gets by it and gets to the next point.
Good. Did you see how close he got to the net on that one? I mean, he hit a hard serve. The return was hit pretty hard, meaning he didn't have that much time to get to the net. Nevertheless, he was about 6 feet from it by the time. Watch this. Look at him, where he is when he makes contact. Look.
That's a tough part about Stefan Edberg trying to return this, because it's not only hard, but it's also got a lot of bite on it. It's got a lot of topspin as well. Oh! Boy, was that out.
Wasn't hard to call that one.
Double fault and then this wild service action.
2-3 in the tiebreak, a second serve.
Stefan missed out on a big opportunity there because Lendl had served a double fault, a huge miss on his first serve, and then his concentration was broken by the crowd, and Lendl's concentration wasn't quite right, and then to make a bad error, just being too careful.
6 games all, 3 points all first set.
Ivan is definitely agitated. He's complaining about noise. He's walking around. He's just edgy about a whole bunch of things, and it's a great time to put pressure on him instead of making unforced errors. You may not get the touch this serve. Only touch.
Only just. Good call. 4 games to 3.
It's interesting. Ivan wants. He's not happy unless he's hitting a winner return because he's gotten used to it all week. He's not hitting returns to just get them back. He's going to have to bring in his margins a little. Make Stefan hit a lot of low first volleys.
Second serve, 4 points all. Tiebreaker first set.
Edberg is going to the side of the court to change the racket. He probably broke a string on that overhead. Lendl's in trouble in this. He's got to hold 2 serve points here, or otherwise Edberg will serve for the set.
Off the smash, there was a string break. So it's good that he put it away, Edberg, or he would have lost control of his frame.
The old strings, Mary, was the small-headed rackets, wooden rackets, had one advantage. It was that you didn't completely lose control when you broke one string. With this new state-of-the-art equipment, one string goes and you're history.
He saw his chance and he jumped on it. Edberg gobbled up the Lendl's second serve and has now given himself
Set
a
point
couple
here.
of set points.
And if he doesn't convert here, he'll serve for the second one.
Thank you all. Quietly.
Well, there's the normal Lendl. When he's down the big point, he comes up with the big serve. But now he's faced with a problem because it's not his serve anymore.
I think Edberg's going to win this point, and I'm just wondering whether we're going to go into a 3-setter or whether Edberg can win it in 2. I don't. I'm a little ahead of myself. Let's see.
First set to Edberg. We'll be back. You're watching the Nabisco Masters from Madison Square Garden, New York. Ivan Lendl has lost the first set, surprisingly, to number 3 seed in this championship, Stefan Edberg. This is the second of 2 semifinal matches played today here. The first one by Boris Becker in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4. In a closely contested match, nevertheless, against John McEnroe. Becker is in the final, best of 5 sets at 12:30 Eastern Time on Sunday. And he'll play the winner of this match, which is now very much up in the air. Cliff Drysdale, Roscoe Tanner is with us today. Fred Stolle talking to Australia, and Mary Carrillo.
Ivan just has the appearance right now he's very unsettled. He, of course, he's not happy he's lost a set, but he's just unsettled as to exactly what he needs to do. It's the first time he's faced some adversity this week.
Actually, in a couple of months, it seems. He came in to the Masters with a 15-match win streak. He hadn't lost in a long time.
That's why.
So after 18 straight wins, all of a sudden, quiet Swedes start serving volleying you off the court. Edberg won 45 points in that first set. 35 of them were from the net, which means that he's been able to return Lendl's serve well enough to get there.
Yeah, he's getting accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He's being able to get to the net and somewhat control the points.
Interesting, isn't it? Because he hasn't played Lendl 57 times.
That'd be a nightmare. Just barely out. Break point for Edberg to open the set. He hits a tremendous volley cross court. Lendl gets a lob, and this lob would have been a clean winner. Edberg had given up, but it just landed long. Break point. Edberg playing well behind the baseline.
Edberg has broken in the first game of the second. He won the first set in the tiebreaker. We'll be back.
Edberg has won the first game of the second. That represents a breaker serve here, and the first set in a tiebreaker. Well, what happened, experts? We were all going for Lendl in this match, and Edberg is just playing a heck of a lot better, and we expected.
You know, one bit of strategy that Edberg is using, and it's effective, is he's playing back a little bit farther behind the baseline. He's about 5 feet behind the baseline to receive serve, and he's got that tremendous reach, so he's able to hit returns that the other guys haven't been able to hit. And he's confusing Ivan by, he has been in the past, getting in a high percentage of first serves and getting right on top of the net. See if it continues. He's also getting a little bit of the benefit of the fact that
Lendl's just, he's distracted by something else now.
Something's bothering him.
I think it's Edberg.
Yeah, I think he's.
He doesn't want to point to him.
Yeah, his concentration is flustered, I think. Really.
Yeah, he is. I just don't think he expected this match. I'm not saying Lendl was looking on to tomorrow. I just don't think he expected this kind of form from Edberg. We all know how well he serves and volleys and how capable he is of that. But when he's really in top flight, it's his return game that wins him. It won a Wimbledon 2 years ago, in my mind. He's putting that together today. This is how he looked. Wimbledon 1988.
It was just like that. And Ivan is just not used to facing these kind of problems. He's approached 54 times and he's won 38 of them, almost 40 of the points in net. He's winning about 80% of the points he goes into net on. And it's just, Ivan is not used to being pushed around the court. He's used to doing all the pushing.
This is really sort of how Lendl looks when he is on grass, playing against Edberg, playing against Lendl.
Uncertain on the return. Gets uncertain in different things. He thinks everything's a little out of whack. He's looking at bad bounces. He's looking at line calls. He's looking at flashes. His mind isn't on the business at hand. It's little bitty things surrounding it.
Without question, Ivan Lendl said before the Masters began this week, he said, without question, if Boris Becker wins the Nabisco Masters, he should be ranked #1. Of course, that's coming from a guy who currently is ranked #1. And it was a very gracious thing for Lendl to have said about Boris Becker. And, you know, you got to wonder if Lendl can keep that out of the back of his mind.
Actually,
boy.
Mary, he said two things. He said exactly what you said, but then when you interviewed him at one stage, and after he had made that comment, you brought it up again. He said, well, 2 years ago in a similar situation here, they were saying Becker might be, or I would be #1. And he said, we probably should go with the computer. Was the implication anyway.
Well, if Edberg takes Lendl out of the equation, the Masters final tomorrow becomes a very big deal.
First set stats.
It's very, very close, as you can see. It's 64% both of them. Lendl has a few more aces, but Edberg's been coming in and putting volleys away, but he has 22 winners, Lendl. Unforced errors is the only big difference, and Edberg made a bunch more. But Edberg's been taking advantage of the opportunities that have presented themselves, mainly in the tiebreaker.
Oh boy, that stayed in.
Yeah, another ball skipped off the line.
And now this could be the match right here. He's already down a break, and now it's love 30. Oh, it's 15 all. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This game, to my mind, if Lendl loses this game, he's lost the match.
Oh yes, 2 serve breaks against a man who's serving like Edberg, and you're in real trouble.
Again, that return, Roscoe.
That's the prime example of the whole match. That was a great serve. He's standing back far enough that it gives him the amount of time to use his reach, and he gets the ball back within a couple inches of the baseline. No one else has been doing that. And Lendl thinks that something's wrong with his game because that's happening.
Game point.
Lendl holds, but he's down to break second set. He lost the first set 7-6.
Take a look at the forehand here. I wonder, you see that there's no wrist layback here on this Edberg forehand. It's very interesting to see. It's very different. You know, at this point, normally the racket head on the headers of the ball, like Lendl, for example, is up. Now let's take a look at his serve. Same thing. When he starts the serve action, when he takes the racket back, again, there is no wrist layback. It's the early part of the serve, right there. Do you see how he kind of cups it instead of the wrist layback where most players are? Now you can see the whole serve motion go from there on in. You see how it's still laid back. It hasn't started to make its upward move yet. There is a quick move at the end, which is where he gets quite a bit of his power from. But it's different, isn't it? Edberg serving at 2-1 and 1 set to love.
Tremendous quickness of Lendl coming in, hits the ball right at Edberg. A lot of guys wouldn't even get to that ball. He came in and had the ability to hit it wherever he wanted to. He hit it right at him because big players, if you let them reach, they can get to the ball into the bodies where you can get those.
Lendl has lost only one match on this surface in all of 1989. That was in the semis of Dallas to John McEnroe. Edberg has forced Lendl into 28 errors, most of those from the net. He's putting together a wonderful match. More big serving.
Game point. You're up 3-1.
He's just not getting a good enough look at those serves. He hasn't all day. Coach Tony Picard said at the beginning of the week, I can't believe how little anyone is talking about my horse. Stefan's number 3 in the world, and nobody is bringing him up. And he's absolutely right.
It happens a lot.
And as I said going into this, it would be a huge upset in my head if Edberg were to win this match, and he's only a couple of games away from doing just that.
Yep, he got that one. Nevertheless, he has to hit these extraordinary shots to win points.
And Edberg is making him do that.
Stefan is continuing to force the issue. It's what he has to do to win. And when we saw the statistics for the first set and the unforced errors, a few, as he's making on his own serve, he's making very few of those. He's making some on Lendl's serve, but on the points that he has to have to win this match, he's not making unnecessary mistakes. And he's putting pressure on Ivan everywhere he can.
What if you at the first point could easily have gone the other way? Love 30 would have been a whole different story. It's 15 all. Edberg making the number 1 player in the world work for every point.
Stefan's used to that ball being an outright winner. And Stefan's getting to it. He missed it getting it back, but still, Ivan didn't get to count it as an outright winner. The ball came back, and he had to wait until it hit the ground to know he won the point. A little bit tougher. He hit the line with it.
$30-15. Shot.
He's coming across the court and gets that forehand going again. Gives it like the old Newcomb buggy whip. Coming across there, going around the outside of the ball. If you can see, comes right around the outside of the ball. It makes it curve a little bit sideways, so there's no way that ball's going to go wide once it crosses over the net. It's going to curl back in. Difficult shot to volley even if you get to it.
One of the crucial differences in his game is that when he gets confident, the forehand starts to click for him. He doesn't make those unforced errors that result from lack of confidence, and that puts so much more pressure on a guy like Lendl. Nevertheless, he has game point here.
With his 9th ace.
Holds on. So when we come back, Edberg will serve, leading 3-2 and a set.
You can have the car all weekend. Bye.
Okay. Great.
Introducing the Peugeot 405 sports wagon.
Wait a minute. I'm out of town this weekend.
It isn't like driving a station wagon.
Paris, where romance is set free to soar, to dance, tethered to the city only by heartstrings. Follow it and you will find its source, the very essence of romance captured in a bottle. Moet, France's best-loved champagne.
On ESPN from the Madison Square Garden. This is the Nabisco Masters, the second of 2 semi-final matches played today. Van Lendl is in all kinds of trouble against the number 3 player, Stefan Edberg from Sweden. He lost the first set and is down 3 games to 2. Edberg serving. Second set. Said he's been only getting 2 or 3 hours sleep a night because of his flu or cold that he's been suffering from all week. It doesn't show today. The other thing that is in his favor is I think he moves better than Lendl, and in fact I wouldn't put Lendl in the top 50% of movers in this field. I think Chang, probably Agassi, Becker move just a little better than he does.
That's not to say he moves badly. These are the top 8 players in the world.
No.
And he moves pretty well to get to this ball.
Yeah, but look at Edberg. Edberg's just dancing all over the court again. When he's that light-footed, this reminds me, I haven't seen this kind of form from him since the '88 Wimbledon that he won. This is just how he looked. And the only way you can say, excuse me, Cliffy, with a guy who hits the ball as hard and with as much length as Lendl is to be moving that well, how else can you even keep up with it? And Edberg seems up to the task today. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there's a sort of a purposeful gait about him. He walks around the court, as you say, beautifully, and with so much determination, purpose, direction, which sometimes is missing from his game. And if he's not playing that well, he misses a few shots. Not today. Easily winning his serve, so he just has to hold on to 2 more serves, and he's in the final against Becker.
You know, it's been a tough year for Stefan Edberg. Disappointing, he says, and yet for if not for 2 matches, it would have been his best year ever. He got to the French Open final, lost it to Chang, got to the Wimbledon final, lost it to Becker. He's come in second too many times this year for him to consider it a great year. This would surely be one of the highlights of his 1989. Best I've seen him play all year.
Talking with Tony Picard earlier in the year, he was saying that when you're playing these top players, you never get a clear opening to win, but you get little cracks here and there, and that you have to take huge advantage of them, be opportunistic when that time comes. That's exactly what Stefan's done in this match. He hasn't gotten huge openings, but little cracks here and there, and when he's had the opportunity, he's been spot on.
Yeah, in that respect, he reminds me of Tom Landry as a football coach. You know, he goes through the deal at the end of the game. He says, this is what happened, this is why it happened. And he's the same kind of coach, Tony Picard. Analytical, can get too emotionally involved.
If Lendl wins this game at love and wins this game easily, I think it gives him a great opportunity to break in the next game. We'll see what happens.
Look how well Edberg's done 70% from the net against Lendl.
Yeah.
One of the biggest passing shot artists of the world.
That is long.
Ooh. He punched that big, you know, in a way. I think that Edberg's trying to keep this a loose or relaxed return game. Let's face it, all he's got to do is hold serve and he wins. He'll hold serve twice.
Yeah.
That's smart, because he can come out in the next game and still be loose enough to serve as well as he's been doing.
Just doesn't want to let Lendl gain confidence. You won't gain too much confidence with that type of return. That's a great shot.
He just makes it look easy. McEnroe can do that as well on his second serve, but it doesn't look quite that easy when John hits that shot.
Mm-hmm.
Still game point.
I think one of the things that Tony works very hard on with Stefan is preparation for shots, and that's one of the things he does very, very well. Gets the racket back early, sideways.
That does it for that game. When we come back, Edberg will be serving to try to go up 5-3 in the second with one set already in his pocket. Well, let's see. What did you say going into this thing? It would be the biggest surprise of this championship if Edberg...
No, I said even more than that. I said that if Edberg were to beat Lendl, I would consider it one of the biggest upsets of the season.
I mean, we're talking here in the Chang-Lendl category.
Well, no, nothing. That's the biggest upset of the decade, or maybe the last 2 decades. But I surely did not see this coming. I'm not sure how many people imagined that Stefan Edberg could put together this kind of tennis. He hasn't done it all year. He hasn't done it since last year when he won the Wimbledon Championship.
Not if they were with us yesterday when Becker really stomped on Edberg and Lendl played so well against McEnroe.
It's not over yet, though.
Oh, no.
Lendl can string together about 3 returns in a row. Yeah, he hasn't strung them so far. And that That isn't one either. But
I mean, that's the second serve, Oscar, virtually on the line. This guy's just on automatic pilot.
he's playing very, very well. You just get the feeling. Somehow I feel like somewhere in here Lendl's got to explode with shots. I guess I'm too used to watching his other matches, but I feel that way. That isn't quite the explosion I was talking about. As long as Stefan is serving this well, it's very difficult to do. But Ivan does have the capability of coming up with tremendous ones. But these serves are just too tough. And when he doesn't hit the serve perfectly, he comes in and makes a great volley. So something's got to change. Maybe it won't, but it just seems like. Jeez, that's a great serve and volley.
You can hardly put a game together more sweetly than that one. And Stefan Edberg is now within 2. Make that 4 points of being in the final against Boris Becker.
And you know, in that game, it'll show up that Edberg was 75% on his first serve. However, the 3 that went in made it 40-love. And the one that he missed is really inconsequential at 40-love. And so I'll bet you that that's 70% of he's getting in the first serves. Most of them are in the beginning points of a game, which puts Lendl in such a big hole. Puts the 62% of first serves that he's getting in put Lendl in such a big hole that the ones that he misses don't hurt that much. Whereas Lendl is missing some of his first serves in the early parts of the game and then trying to come back with big serves.
3-5, second set. Still crunch time when you serve for a match, especially a match like this. 60,000 bucks at stake for one thing, and then a chance to make another 120 tomorrow.
Totally fooled him with that serve. He had the racket back to hit a backhand return. Lendl totally fooled him. He was closing in to attack. But once again, it's on Lendl's serve, and Edberg's already up a break.
A little short on the attempted lob, and Lendl punishes it. We will watch Stefan Edberg serve for the match when we come back. Tony Picard is looking just a little bit worried. And who doesn't know the feeling of going out there to serve for a match? It doesn't have to be a match of this caliber, any match. Worked hard for an hour and a half, and it all comes down to 4 points between you and victory, but you got to win them on your serve. It just tightens you up a little bit. Let's see how Edberg responds. This may be the game, Roscoe, that you've been referring to, where Lendl explodes. Love 30.
Well, this is not the way you want to start out the game when you're serving for a match. You're already jittery and nervous, and then you want to make sure that you really get those first 2 points. Lendl's played them very well. It's going to be tough for Stefan now.
Last time that Edberg beat Lendl was in Tokyo. On a hard court, the score is 6-3, 2-6, 6-4. Another miss hit on the return.
No, and that's a great serve by Edberg, but I think that's a little bit the fault of Ivan Lendl trying to overplay the shot. That ball bounced very high, it was up around his head, and there's not an opportunity there to drill the ball, but he's used to drilling it all week, so he keeps on trying. And really what he's got to do is get that ball back into play. Edberg's nervous. You got to make Edberg hit some balls.
Thank you.
Look at that.
See there, he gets the return in play. It gives him the opportunity to whip this shot. If he had tried to nail that return and missed it, he never gets a chance to hit these shots. So he's got to take his opportunities for big shots where they are, not make them.
Break point. He got it. Ivan Lendl is still in contention for this Nabisco Masters. It is 5 games all in the second set. What a comeback, what a turnaround.
But Ivan Lendl was just due for something to happen for him. He took enough points there and played it the way he had to. He got the ball back in play, but he almost messed it up by trying to go for too much on the return. But once when he gets him in play, he gets a chance for his passing shot. He just can't make winners against Edberg in one shot. Takes a couple.
Thank you.
Just long.
15 long.
2 breaks of serve in the match after what you just saw. And Lendl had 7 chances. Most of them early in the match.
Tremendous play from Edberg because he's just lost his serve. He's just served for the match and lost his serve. And okay, he's going to be opportunistic again. It's a little bit of a short second serve. He's going to attack and go for it. It's a great mentality on the court. He's not over there crying in his beer. He's playing. Continuing to go for it.
15 all. Neither one of them really had a chance to get into the net there because they kept that ball so deep. And eventually when Edberg did creep in, Lendl just missed the attempted pass. Another enormous point.
He got it. Little bit of help from the net. 2 break points.
Gets his approach out to go, and Lendl drills this ball. Stefan was covering it, hitting a little bit off center. That's a good shot. See him covering. He gets down well. For a big, tall man, he gets down well for that ball. He's ready. That's about as much emotion as you're going to see out of Stefan. He clenched his fist, at least before the match is over.
He's broken once, and he's had 5 chances. He has another 2. Well, this is his 5th run.
He gets another second serve. Interesting to see if he gets the opportunity to chip and come in. He's been wanting to do that any chance he gets.
Sigh of relief from Lendl.
It's not often you get a second serve on a break point from Lendl. That's usually when he gets his first serve in. It's a big opportunity there. Stefan played it a little bit careful because he ended up standing flat-footed as he hit that forehand. Before, he's been light on his feet and attacking. He's concerned. Anybody would be at 5-all the second set. Still has break point though.
Samantha Lendl.
Cannot afford to play defensive tennis against Lendl. You got to go for it.
Watch this. See, he just gets his back too short, and Lendl, he'll eat that for breakfast every time. In a way, Roscoe, again, that's tension. He really should have come in from a tactical standpoint, because that has what has worked for him and got him here.
Exactly. Both points, both break points. He had second serves. Didn't attack. It's another second serve here. See, it's deuce now. He doesn't have break point. See if he loosens up and comes after it.
Another chance at the break.
You know, it's interesting on that one. Lendl didn't bend his knees on that last shot. And that's tension also. When people get tense, they stand straight up to hit balls. And Lendl, that ball is down pretty low, and Lendl didn't get down to it at all. The 7th break point chance for Stefan Edberg. Look how far back he is to receive this ball.
He's been doing that on this side. So that he can track that one right there down. You know, if you're standing too close, he gets that shot in. You just don't have the time to move to get it back. He wants to make sure Lendl has to at least play.
Stefan Edberg serve for the match for a second time.
This is the Nabisco Masters semi-final. Lendl playing Edberg in the second of 2 matches played today. Becker's in the final. Mary Carrillo went down courtside a few games ago, anticipating a talk with the winner. But she's down at courtside now, and she has a microphone. So welcome back, Mary.
Look, the people around here are just shaking their heads in hopeless disbelief at the way Stefan Edberg just won that last game.
That's the way to start the game if you're serving for the match. That was not a bad serve.
15 all.
I mean, that was a great first serve. Lendl got picked where it was going to be and just drilled it back. Totally shocked Edberg on the way into net. He thought he was going to have another nice volley.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Thank you. Please. Ready to play. Thank you.
Stefan Edberg, in the surprise of the championship, has beaten the #1 player in the world, and in the final at 12:30 Eastern Time on Sunday, he'll play for the championship against Becker. We'll be back.
A remarkable victory, a huge upset in many people's minds, Stefan. First of all, I thought you were supposed to be sick. You didn't play sick at all today.
No, not at all. I've had a cough all week, but I felt very relaxed today, and I played one of my best matches ever, I think, because I served really, really well, and I felt very concentrated all the way through.
Your return of serve and the way you moved about the court, it reminded us of Wimbledon '88. I haven't seen you play that well since then. Do you think?
Yeah, that's probably true in a sense. I mean, we're playing on a different surface, but I did hit the ball very, very well today, and I was almost as good as Wimbledon.
Where did this come from? Becker just dismissed you so easily yesterday. Your form wasn't anywhere near that, and then you walk up against Lendl, who many people thought was going to win this thing. Where did it come from today?
Well, it's inside here. It's always been, and I've been working pretty hard for the last couple of months, and it's got to come sooner or later where you play one of these matches, and I hope I can, continue to play as well tomorrow.
The fact that you haven't been sleeping well, you haven't really been feeling well, is that why perhaps you were able to concentrate so well and beat him in 2 sets?
Yeah, perhaps. Sometimes you feel more relaxed when you're not feeling 100%, but it's just the thing that I'm coughing. I feel okay inside myself, and I haven't really been outside at all since I came here to New York. I'm trying to stay in and rest as much as I can.
Tomorrow against Becker, he beat you 6-1, 6-4 just a day ago, and now you've got to play him in 3 out of 5 sets. How can you turn things around?
Well, you see, every day is different, so I'm quite hopeful going into tomorrow. I think if I play the way I played today, I feel I got a good chance tomorrow. Obviously, it's very hard to play Boris because he's on a roll. He's been playing very, very well this year.
All right, Stefan, congratulations. A beautiful match.
Thank you.
Cliffy?
Thanks a lot, Mary. Boy, that's a nice, gentle man, and what a tennis player. You saw him play as well as he can play, as he said, over Lendl in straight sets, and he's in the final here. We'll be back in a moment. And what really is the surprise of this championship, Stefan Edberg over Ivan Lendl and Roscoe Tanner, that was a remarkable display of tennis, so unexpected by Stefan Edberg.
As Stefan Edberg said, it's always inside him. And he played the way he can play. It's not expected when he hasn't been playing that well all week. but he played the way he can play. And if he plays the way he can play tomorrow, we've got a great match.
In tomorrow's match, which will be live on ESPN at 12:30 on Sunday, you will see him play against Boris Becker, who beat him last night. Today's coverage of the Nabisco Masters has been brought to you by Moet Champagne, France's best-loved champagne, and by the 1990 Peugeot 405 station wagon. Remember, tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, that's Sunday, Boris Becker, the number 2 player to qualify for this championship, and Stefan Edberg, the number 3, will battle it out for another $120,000 over 5 sets. For Roscoe Tanner and Mary Carrillo, I'm Cliff Drysdale. Thanks for joining us. See you Sunday at 12:30, everybody.